There were two sisters who were totally devoted to each other, and they lived in a lovely cottage at the edge of a dense, lush forest. They had a beautiful front yard that just burst with color of plants and trees and flowers and leaves and birds. And this yard was so gorgeous, and the sun always shone on it, that animals from everywhere in the county came there to play. Yes, the villagers would say that yard, with the sunshine, they had seen raccoons, squirrels, every kind of animal you can think of, dancing in the yard. Maybe. Now, Big Sister was very diligent and industrious, and she took care of everybody. Little Sister, Jo, was a little more playful. She was a little more free-spirited. She was very curious. And her favorite color was yellow because she said it was the color of sunshine. And she giggled a lot. The poor kid could not play hide-and-go-seek because all you had to do was follow the giggles and you could find her. Well, Big Sister was one day up on the roof making a repair, and Little Sister was out in the yard taking care of some of the flowers and teaching some of the animals how to dance, because this was her job. When she saw from a distance a man walking up the path. Now this is very strange because they're way out there. The man was tall and skinny, and he wore a baggy, scrubby suit and a big black hat. He walked very strangely. He was very stiff in how he walked, and she was so curious. First she wanted to go and see him, but she remembered Big Sister always saying, "Stay away from strangers." So instead she kind of hid behind a tree so she could watch him. And excuse me. She continued to watch him come up the path. She didn't notice that all the animals in the yard had come to a standstill. They weren't even breathing. But she's focused on the man. And as he gets closer and closer, she realizes his face, which was kind of smoky before, he actually had two big red eyes. He gets a little closer and she realizes he has an almost friendly smile. And suddenly those eyes and that smile are looking right at her. This is surprising because she thought she was hiding behind the tree. He looks at her and he goes, "No, I can't, no." He looks at her again, his eyes really focusing on her. Almost friendly smile. This time, he pulls a kitten out of his pocket. "A kitten?" And the kitten has a yellow ribbon around its neck. Oh my God, she is mesmerized. She is walking towards it slowly. "Is it for me? Is it for me?" And he's nods. Just as she gets close enough to touch the kitten, he grabs her by the hair, he throws her in the bag over his shoulder, cinches it up, and runs awkwardly into the forest. All the animals start to yell and scream and squawk. Everybody is in an uproar, and Big Sister comes out and realizes she's gone, and she lets out a primal, soul-piercing scream and says, "Go. Go, all the animals, go to the village and get all the help you can get. Get them here fast. We need help." And a huge group of people showed up just like that. Almost every single able-bodied person in the village was there. And they said to her, "Don't worry, we know this forest. We will find her." And they charged into the forest. And they looked under every pile of leaves and under every stack of logs. And at one point, Sister climbs the tallest tree, and looks around the whole forest. But they didn't find her. When it got dark, the villagers said, "Don't worry, we'll be back first thing in the morning." And they were, an even larger crowd. And they said, "We will find her." And again, they charged into the forest. And they looked, and they looked, and they looked. But they didn't find her. After the 5th day, they called the search off. Big sister climbed into her bed. She pulled the blanket over her head, and she stayed there. And she stayed there. And she stayed there. The house went into ruin. The plants in the yard died. All the bees and the birds disappeared. And the animals who had had so much fun were now hiding in the bush. One day, Big Sister gets up, and she kind of stumbles out into the yard, gathers the animals and says, "We can't live this way anymore. This does not honor Joe." So they went to the side of the house and they built what they called their mourning garden. It was all yellow flowers. And they said, when we cry, and we need to cry, we come here and let our tears water the flowers. And we cry, and we cry, but when we're done, we live. And that's what they did. And things got a little better. They fixed up the house. They fixed the yard up a little bit. There was still kind of a gloomy cloud that just kind of hung over the house, but they had melancholy days, but they went on with their life. One day, Big Sister's wandering in the woods. She does this now just to soak up the healing of nature. And she notices a little yellow butterfly. Oh, how sweet. She starts to follow it. At one point, she reached up to touch it, and it giggled. "Oh my God," she says, and starts running after it faster and faster. And they get to a part of the forest where they have to climb over this huge log. And suddenly they're in an enchanted garden. The air is golden, softly white. And when Big Sister looks really closely, she sees tiny little fairies in the trees. And when she looks down, she sees weird, unusual animals of all different bright colors running around. And she looks up, and the butterfly comes to her face, and she says, "Joe, is it you?" "Yes, sister, it's me. You found me. You found me. I've been waiting for you forever. You found me." She reaches up to grab the butterfly, but it flicks off. She says, "Wait, come back. You can come home with me now. We have been waiting for you for so long." But Joe comes closer and says, "I'm sorry, sister. I can't go home with you. I don't belong there anymore. I belong here." "Well," says Big Sister, "then I'm staying here with you. I'm going to make a bed here in the moss and..." "Oh, sister, I'm sorry, but you don't belong here anymore either. You belong where you are, in your home." But says Joe, "now that you know where I am, you can come and visit me anytime." "Oh, that's wonderful." She doesn't know whether to laugh or cry, but they start to talk and they reminisce, and they have times where they are crying and they are laughing, and it starts to get dark. Big sister says, I guess I have to go home. Yes, sister, you have to go home. But remember, now that you know where I am, you can visit me anytime. Oh, yes, okay. And she's walking home, and she's, again, not sure, should she laugh, should she cry? And she sees her house out in front of her, and the sun is shining on the yard again. And all the animals are standing at attention, waiting for her to come. And she runs up to them and says, I found her! And I learned the secret. Want to know what the secret is? Love never dies.